One of the most unnerving moments in Ridley Scott's Alien is the final scene of Lambert, played by Veronica Cartwright, who is paralyzed by fear as the alien advances toward her, wrapping its tail around her leg as she lets out a gasp, and the film cuts away to Ripley running through the corridors, hearing her blood-curdling screams. Ripley is unfortunately too late to save her friends, and she discovers their dead bodies. Parker is seen disemboweled on the floor, and we see a glimpse of Lambert's bloodied legs as she appears to be hanging from somewhere. This moment is all the more horrifying based on what we don't see and what's left to our imaginations, but there has been some debate about what exactly happened to Lambert off-screen. Was she torn apart by the alien in a gruesome fashion, or did the alien also violate Lambert in some way? Many believe this to be the case, and that it fits well within the nightmarish sexual nature of H.R. Giger's art, and the already existing themes of violation in the film. Cain is, in essence, raped by the facehugger, which results in the xenomorph's birth, but in order for the species to survive, it would need to procreate somehow. It was in frantic survival mode, it seems, and appeared to be in the process of somehow transforming Brett and Captain Dallas into eggs. Both of those victims male, of course, along with Parker, but Lambert was something new to the creature, a female. The alien seems almost fascinated by her in those scenes, and it could very well be that it's studying her as a sexual, reproductive prospect. This seems to be even more emphasized in scenes deleted, now infamously known as the crab walk scene. The alien eerily stares down Lambert, then, on all fours, with its tail protruding forward in a pretty suggestive manner, makes its way toward her. If some kind of violation, or attempt at one, took place, then it would certainly account for her missing pants later on, but whether this is all purely interpretation, or if it was intended to be taken that way, is harder to say, and it may depend entirely on who you ask. One of the biggest challenges faced with Alien's production was Lambert's death scene. With each revision of the script, Lambert seemed to have an entirely different death. In one draft, the alien decapitates her by twisting her head off with its hands. In another, she is accidentally set on fire by Parker in an attempt to blast the alien with the flame unit. As production continued and the budget became more scarce, it was still not the more clear what exactly Lambert's death would be, right up to the shooting of the actual scene. Actress Veronica Cartwright maintains that the planned-upon version of her death was that Lambert would hide inside a locker and literally die of fright because of the alien. Cartwright also maintains that many things were filmed for the scene that never saw the light of day. It's possible that another version of this scene, in which the alien descends from an air duct and tries to pull her up into the duct, but Parker intervenes and is then killed by the alien as he is in the film. This is somewhat how the scene was portrayed in the novelization by Alan Dean Foster. The struggle could have caused the loss of her pants, and explained why she could be hanging, as hanging from a duct. Possibly whatever they filmed just wasn't working right, and the death as it's portrayed in the final film is the result of reconstructing the scene in editing. At this point, it's well known that the shot of the tail moving up Lambert's legs isn't actually a shot of Veronica Cartwright's legs, but it was rather footage left out from Brett's death scene, seamlessly edited into the later scene with Lambert. Since this concept of possible sexual violation was created purely in the editing process of the film, there's nothing in any versions of the script, or storyboards, or in the novelization to support this theory, though Ridley Scott himself has commented on the scene, and his beliefs are very much in line with the idea of the alien as a creature that is trying to reproduce. In the 2003 audio commentary of the film, Scott expresses the following: "We didn't know how she died, but the implication was that there was a kind of sexuality to this androgynous male-female, who could give birth itself, but it could also impregnate. Was that some dreadful ending? Was that some terrible invasion of her body? A rape? And therefore, would there be a version of the Cartwright character? Certainly there'd be more humanoid aliens on this craft now, and that's what Ripley has to now destroy." The possibility of alien life forms gestating as a result of human sexual intercourse would be something Scott explored further in Prometheus, with Holloway, infected and mutated by the pathogen, impregnating Dr. Shaw with the makings of what became the trilobite creature. All the more curious of an event, knowing that Dr. Shaw in an earlier scene reveals that she's unable to carry children. The properties of the pathogen wouldn't exactly follow the natural order of things, though. The mystery of what exactly the alien may have been attempting to do to Lambert remains off-screen, and an interesting note about the Lambert character, however, is that in her WEYLAND dossier, which is viewable as a special feature from the 2003 DVD release of Alien, reveals that she went through a gender reassignment. The dossier reveals the following. Subject is Despin convert at birth, male to female. So far no indication of suppressed traumas related to gender alteration. This piece of information has been shared quite a bit since it was originally released, and while on its surface may just be an interesting piece of character trivia, perhaps it holds a clue to Lambert's fate. If the alien on the Nostromo was in this desperate mode of survival, needing to mate and needing to procreate, and up until Lambert only encountering males, then maybe its fascination with her was indeed as a prospective mate. And while the facehugger parasite can inseminate indiscriminately, perhaps only a female with a female reproductive system could suffice for procreation through sexual contact. The alien may very well have had more gruesome and unthinkable intentions with Lambert, but possibly in recognizing the lack of the necessary reproductive systems, could no longer go on with those intentions, killing her instead, and leaving her body along with Parker. And, of course, searching for its next prospect in Ripley. Themes of rape and violation have always been prevalent in the Alien series, from the very nature of the alien of itself, assaulting and impregnating its host to survive, to scenes such as Ash, suggestively probing Ripley with a rolled-up magazine, or David and the suggestion that he violated Shaw in some way, and threatened to do the same to Daniels. In Alien 3, Ripley even finds herself on a planet entirely occupied by convicted rapists, with whom she must reluctantly ally in order to defeat the threat of the alien. Ripley even makes this inference herself in a conversation with Dylan regarding the queen embryo inside her, in the assembly cut version of the film. It must have happened when I was in hypersleep, when I was violated. In the novelization of the film, Ripley expands on this thought. While I was in deep sleep, I guess the horrible dream I had wasn't exactly a dream. I got raped, though I don't know if that's a wholly accurate term. Rape is an act of premeditated violence. This was an act of procreation, even if my participation was involuntary. We would call it rape, but I doubt the creature would. It probably would find the concept, well, alien. If the unseen encounter between the alien and Lambert was, in fact, what Ridley Scott suggests it is, then it wouldn't seem especially out of place in the series. Though we never see it, the implication seems to be intended, at least according to Scott. One thing is certain, though, Lambert's bone-chilling screams heard off-screen leave what's happening to our imaginations, which can fill the blanks in a more disturbing and horrifying way than anything that we could have actually seen on-screen. What do you think happened to Lambert? Was it limited to a gruesome, violent off-screen death, or was something else going on? Comment below and share your thoughts. As always, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and you can also subscribe for all the latest videos from the channel. A very, very special thanks goes out to WEYLAND executive, EmYarUk, part of the Patreon Hive. If you'd like to join the Hive and support the channel, check out my Patreon page for exclusive posts and contests. In the meantime, you can catch up with Alien Theory over social media, follow @alien_theory on Twitter and @AlienTheoryYT on Facebook and Instagram for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.